Yeah, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of All Point Sports, brought to you by Edge Remodeling, Franklin Square, Long Island. Eddie Edge doing the best work for you. Edge Remodeling, Franklin Square, New York. We're here, All Point Sports, another edition with our own Bobby Blackjack and JG the Kid out there in Rapid City, South Dakota. How you doing, JG?
Doing good, doing good. Glad to be on. It's been a while.
Hey, John, what's going on?
Hey, how you doing, Bobby?
Not too bad, not too bad.
Where are you at, Bobby?
Last week I was in your next to you on your porch, and tonight I'm back in my little man cave. I'll be up there tomorrow.
Back up here at Villa Roma. Chris
Yep.
Monty may be joining us a little later. He's doing the show right now. He's on in Marty's Lounge doing Comedy Club night here at Villa Roma. And, of course, Chris is very excited about the Preakness this weekend, the second leg of the Triple Crown. The surprise winner, Maggie, going for race number 2 in the Preakness. And Chris could tell you only one horse from the Derby going to the Preakness, and that's the Derby winner. Everybody else is brand new, taking a shot. So it's Maggie's race to lose. And she'll be the favorite, or he'll be the favorite, Maggie. What do you think, Bobby? Did you watch the race?
Actually, no. I was up there doing something that weekend. I forget. I don't know. I was at the casino. No. I was driving back. I was driving back to the casino at that time, so I actually missed it. Like I said last week, I was about to put, $20 on that Japanese horse that they were mentioning, and good thing I didn't. I would have lost my money.
Yeah. So they have horse racing out there in South Dakota, John?
I know with the weather finally turning nicer, they should have some horse racing going on. So
let's talk some sports right now. Let's talk Major League Baseball. John, your Atlanta Braves, how they doing?
currently sitting in first place. Ronald Acuna Jr. is just on a tear, fully healthy, but starting pitching is. We got a lot of injuries going on. They're doing multiple bullpen games. That's killing us. Bringing people up from AAA just to start games, and it's been tough, but we're hanging on.
And who is your competition so far this year? Who do you feel?
Not the Mets.
Yeah, in the division, or we just got swept by the Blue Jays, and we were leading in every game that series, and the bullpen blew every lead. So it's pretty tough to watch that one.
And in the East, we still have the Tampa Bay Rays sitting in first. How about it, Bobby?
I don't know. I've heard people say this, and I was watching, last week a little bit, playing the Yankees. They're not that great of a team. I mean, they're on some, really terrific start of the season, but I think they could be had. I can't see that team and that lineup, sustaining that amount of success or that level of success the rest of the season. So I think the Yankees have a real good chance of getting back into it. Once we get healthy and get our players back.
Well,
which is a big if.
High scoring games, some 1-run ball games, very high scoring. Definitely got into the bullpen. The starters having troubles for both teams. So, I think it's up in the air as far as the East goes. Can they sustain it? We'll see. It would be a miraculous season if they did.
No, definitely. I think like baseball, the old sports adage, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. That is so true in baseball because the season is so damn long.
And how's it faring, John? The schedule playing everybody playing each other. How's that faring up at this point in the season compared to the way it used to be?
So far, I like it. You get to see every team in the major leagues, and right now we're playing the Texas Rangers. We split split the first 2 games, and now we're in the third game with them at Texas. So I like how they changed it, and we'll see how it goes moving forward. But I'm a fan of it.
Okay, and let's just segue really quick to football and stay in Atlanta. You weren't on for a few weeks. The NFL draft came about. How did the Falcons do in the draft this year?
Right? We actually going into it. Arthur Smith is a run heavy coach. Probably runs it 70% of the time. And as a fan, not to my liking because it's a passing league. But I knew right away if Bijan Robinson fell to us, we might not necessarily need a running back, but that's definitely who he's going to take. And sure enough, we took him. So, but he was rated the best running back in the draft. And other than that, we filled a lot of needs in the draft and definitely in free agency. So look for us to win this division, I think.
Wow, that's a bold prediction right there.
Yep.
What do you think, Bobby?
Yeah, John. I meant to ask you about that. You haven't been on in a few weeks. I thought it was just absolutely crazy for your team to pick a running back, no matter how good he is.
Right.
You had 2 rookies last year who did pretty well.
And that was my biggest complaint is we had Tyler Algier, the rookie BYU, 5th-round pick. He rushes for over 1,000-something yards and didn't even start the season. Still finished with over 1,000 yards. So you definitely could have addressed the defensive line, which was the biggest hole. And he still took the running back. So it's
and not only that, John, your quarterback situation is Ritter your guy? Are you confident in him?
He started the last 4 games. He went 2-2. I felt that they should have went to him a lot sooner because you're already struggling with Mariota at the quarterback when he's just dropping back and just throwing prayers, hoping they're caught in the triple coverage. He should have been benched mid-season. They signed Tyler Heineke from the Commanders as backup. So we'll see how it goes. But Ritter right now is the starter so far. But there's a lot of rumors that they might trade for Tannehill, and I'm not a fan of that either.
Oh,
So,
but I like Heineke better than Tannehill.
Right.
He has a little moxie to him, you know. He has a little Mike White to him.
Yeah, little Mike White.
That's for sure. So John, let's stay on football. You've been off for a few weeks. And my Marlins win again. The Marlins keep winning, I'm telling you.
Yeah, they're in second place right now, behind us. So.
I mean, they're only about 500, but that's way better than everybody expected.
Mm-hmm.
So, John, again, you had a few weeks off there with work and whatnot. So what were your thoughts overall of the NFL draft?
I like how when they host it, how it's in cities now, so everybody makes it a planned event to try to attend and everybody show up. And it all happened by, I guess, air when it was at Radio Music City Hall in New York City, that they wanted it and it was booked. So they started going to different cities to host this draft, and it's just turned into a huge turnout for everybody to attend. But overall, I liked how the Texans were aggressive and they got their quarterback. A lot of people was complaining that they traded back up to 3, but if you get the top guy on offense and defense, you're rebuilding the franchise. You know, you have to make bold moves. So I like what they did a lot.
And what about the Giants, John?
Giants, I feel like they made a lot of good draft picks as well. And receiver is their big thing. So as long as that works out, they should be okay.
And what about Barkley turning down what, 13 million with $1 million option, or 12 million with $1 million?
Right, because he's trying to look for that long-term deal. and it's tough in the NFL because it stands for not for long, is the what everybody says, and they're trying to get some guaranteed longevity in these contracts where the MLB and NBA are getting these things, but NFL's not. So, and shout out to Lamar Jackson. He finally got what he deserves. So,
Yeah,
So
I mean,
what?
you look at. I mentioned this before, guys. You look at like the Philadelphia Eagles, who are just they could put on a paid clinic on how to run a draft. Past
they,
couple years, they've just been blowing the doors off the league with
yes,
what
they
he what.
stole the show. Like they're just loading up with these picks from Georgia on this defense. And it was just like, you got to be kidding me. Like, if Jalen Carter fell to us at 8, but we still went running back, but you could finally put somebody next to Grady Jarrett, and you still pass on him and go running back. And then the Eagles trade up and take Carter. So
I think this. I know. Unfortunately, I hate to bring this up during the show, but the player that passed away during that car accident is from not too far from here. He's a Northern Jersey kid who played at I believe he played at St. Joe's. So there's reports coming out now that he has a history of speeding and whatnot. So I just have a feeling that something's gonna happen with him, and the lawsuits have been filed now as far as by the player's father and whatnot. He's suing everybody, including the auto dealership that gave him the free car, the free NIL car or whatnot. I just have a feeling that something's going to come down on this kid, and and him not being truthful from the start is going to hurt him a lot.
right, and that definitely scared a lot of teams.
Not the Eagles, but but I guess they figure, hey, we have a good supporting staff here. We have a quarter of your teammates on the team anyway, right? So I guess they figured that'd be a good environment for him to be in. I'm not saying he should, not play football like Henry Ruggs, who was even worse. Right. But there's just a lot of stuff that's going to come out that may prompt a inquiry or something. I don't know. Same way like Kamara, like if you're playing fantasy football this year, you're not drafting Kamara early because he's gonna be gone for a while.
Right, and they still haven't come out with the suspension yet for him. So
and that video is brutal,
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see what happens there.
Well, to be in the limelight nowadays, back in the day, it wasn't like this, but now everything is so instant on the internet that it's just in the news instantly, and that it's tough to be in the limelight in the wrong light.
Right, and everybody's phone has a camera, so it spreads quick.
I mean, the big news down here today is probably last night. The paparazzi chasing around, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle almost 2 hours around the city, up and down sidewalks and one-way streets. You know what? Notice people have the camera, like John said, people have the cameras now, so it's so instant that they can just catch news or catch something.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that runs in the family for sure. That was the paparazzi that was running down Princess Di in the tunnel.
Yep.
She was trying to get away. It could create some problems. Where was this, Bobby? In New York City?
New York City, yeah. So it's crazy. And I'm in a city I'm not saying too often, but you gotta be aware no matter where you go these days, but especially like New York City, it's gotta be know what's around you. Be one step ahead. But yeah, like what John said, as far as the NFL draft going to different cities, I think Kansas City was really a place that it's not the biggest city in the country, but yeah, they came out right. In full force.
Well, it's a big football town. KC always in the thick of things. So I think if the NFL continues with this, it could be lucrative for them because then it's almost like getting the Super Bowl in your town. You get the draft in your town, and you get to make a little money for the whatever city it goes to. I think they could play it up really big.
Yeah, like I said, it's just cool to see other cities take part. It's not New York City getting everything all the time, So I think it's pretty cool.
Right.
I'm definitely with it.
Just having fans from every team representing, their team wherever the city is. That's pretty well.
So Bobby, tell us about the sports book right down the street from Villa Roma. It's about 25 minutes away, would you say?
Yeah, about that.
Resorts World?
Depending on if you get one of those slow moving farm vehicles on 17B on the 2-lane highway. That could make it. I could add 20 minutes here to the drive there.
And it's Resorts World, Catskills. Tell us about it, Bobby.
Yeah, I mean, no, I don't know. I don't say I go there often, but especially when I'm there all summer because you really can't. It's because it's a casino for a reason, right? If it was guaranteed winnings, the line would be out the door 24/7. But to get away a little bit and blow off some steam. I actually for the first time, I actually had we had lunch there, and I thought it was pretty good. But the sports book is there in the back, which was kind of weird because I didn't realize that New York had the sports book yet. I know Jersey has it. I mean, I'm 15 minutes away from MetLife Stadium, which right across the way is FanDuel. And they're big building of sports betting. But it's there. In fact, as soon as you walk into the casino part of the hotel, right to your left or to your right is a machine to do sports bets. And of course, in the back of the facility is there as well, where the main location is. But like I mentioned a million times on this show, my only really question mark is why aren't you showing games on the TVs while you're playing tables or while you're, maybe in a group of slots or whatnot? Why aren't you playing games that people can bet on the TVs?
Sure.
Twice now, I've Sweet 16 weekend, and then most recently a Knicks home playoff game, and not one on the TV where you think would prompt somebody to say, "Hey, I want to maybe run over there and make a bet," because you want the game's right there.
Sure.
No, they have on the one time it was NFL draft review. You can't bet on that; it's after the fact already. Sure. Or college baseball. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe studying the futures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You do that from home, not from a casino when you're trying to, play bets. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know how they're doing financially, but sports betting is up everywhere, and I believe the top two states making the most money are New York and New Jersey. So it only makes sense.
Yeah, I'm sure it boosted their profits by opening up the sports book. There's just so many different ways. They make it very easy for you to lose your money. It's definitely what do they call it? For fun. You can't look at it as a profit maker. If you did, you'd be a professional at it.
Exactly. That's why that's why they call Las Vegas lost wages, because you're not guaranteed that the win. It's just it looks easier than it is.
That's right. And when you think you have a lock, what happens? They get scratched out of the Derby, and then a long shot comes in. So even that Derby, I was talking to someone earlier. They said that horse that won the Derby was in the Florida Derby, and the jockey made a mistake. And that horse, if it didn't make a mistake in the Florida Derby, probably would have beaten Forte. So that's big news right there. A little mistake could cost you, and that's a big news for that small-time horse that has a shot now at the Triple Crown and no competition whatsoever in the Preakness coming out of the Derby. So that's unprecedented. You don't hear of that too often. You hear about a Derby winner not running in the Preakness, but usually there are more horses coming out of the Derby that run the second leg, and that's just not the case this time. So it's the shortest of the 3 races, and I'm looking forward to it. Saturday, rain predicted here. We're not too far from Baltimore, Maryland, so could be rain there as well, and it could make it very interesting.
So well, I know you're a big horse guy. What would make a horse not want to run 2 weeks later? I mean, is this the prime time for a horse to get noticed?
It is, but if they don't have a shot, I think some of these horses just had big hopes, and it's a lot. I mean, not only the money for the entry, that's the least of it, but the plans of the future of the horse, whether it's breeding or the Breeders' Cup or what the plans of the future. These trainers it's not their first go around, so a lot of these guys. So it's a tough decision. It's a tough decision, especially for the owners. Do you spend the extra money? It's a tough one. It's a tough one, and it's a lot on the horse coming back 2 weeks later.
So, all right, another question I have, Doc. Again, from a novice horse guy to someone more experienced like yourself, what was the reason for all the horses dying before the Derby? Was there anything any cause? Was it a fluke?
We're waiting to see. There's a few diseases out there. Joy knows way better than I do. It's Shippens, Coggins test. It's like a shipping fever that a horse can get, and I'm wondering if that's not the case. That they even when we're in a horse show with not a horse race but a regular horse show, English Western Gymkhana, all the horses have to have a test done, a medical test, because if a horse comes in and is allowed in a show or in the stable area and has this Coggins, this Shippens disease, then it could infect other horses. So I'm just wondering if that's not the case with these horses.
And that's when you say shipping, I mean it's their mode of transportation to and from.
Yeah, I mean, Joy could give you a better description, but that's kind of like that's about the brunt of it.
Okay. Yeah, it's just a bizarre, unfortunate occurrence. And as you know, you're a horse owner, right? These horses aren't cheap.
No.
And they spend a lot of money into and time and investment to getting up to a position to be in a race like that.
Yeah, the thoroughbreds are on a much higher diet. They have just an unbelievable diet. You really have to watch feeding them. If a horse colics, let's say, you have to keep that horse standing up. If it lays down, it could be detrimental to the horse. Sometimes it's worming, where they get a little parasite in the feces. You have to, and they test that. So you have to worm the horses as well as a whole. You have to. It's not just feeding them and cleaning up after them. It's a whole science to it, and you have to just make sure that everything's clean. The water's changed. There's no bacteria. You just got to watch.
Okay.
Even eating the wrong thing. If someone, comes up, bigger horses, they really, people say, oh yeah, give it an apple. Apple could make a horse sick, especially a big horse. So, it could have been anything, but to have multiple horses go like that, that's unusual. And it had to be something that one horse got from another, I would say. And it wasn't conditions of overheat or exhaustion, or it wasn't 100 degrees where maybe they shouldn't have been around the track or they got dehydrated. that just wasn't the case. So I'm curious, and they will investigate, I'm sure.
Oh man, so, no doubt. All right, so John, I have a question for you. You've been out abroad for a while,
All right.
so and you're part of the woods up there of the country. Like, what are your biggest sports up there?
So right now
Oh, I
they
mean, like, to watch, obviously. I mean, like, what's
so the biggest sports we have here in town, they started the Arena Football League. This is their second year, and then we have a hockey team as well, like a minor league hockey, and this is their fourth or fifth season that they do at the Civic Center. But to watch, so mainly is like whatever is on, then everybody gathers around and focuses on that. But the biggest teams for this area, either you're a Denver Broncos fan or a Minnesota Vikings fan. And then for college sports, a lot of people like Nebraska because that's the biggest D1 school to South Dakota.
how far is? Okay, I could be wrong, and forgive me if I am. Boise State, is that far?
So, so from me, I would have to say maybe 7, 6, 7.
Oh wow, so it's a weekend excursion then. It's not just pick up and let's go watch a game.
Right. So, like Denver is 6 hours south from me. Minneapolis is about 8.5 hours the other opposite way, going east. Those are the biggest cities to me.
And how far are you from the West Coast, like Seattle or Portland?
Seattle, I want to say, is about 15, 16 hours
Wow.
from these states they're pretty big.
Yeah,
You got,
because out here it's like we're so small, Jersey, and then you have like Delaware, which is a small state in the country, but you spend $25 in tolls to get through it.
right.
It's ridiculous. And Maryland, same thing.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's get to. I guess Stephen J's not coming on today. I was trying to hold off for him to talk some NBA basketball, and I know John, you're a big Knicks fan, and
Huge.
my little sign here is more for Steve, not for you.
Yeah.
Going to bust his chops a little bit, but what did you see from the Knicks this year? And give us you're a big Knicks fan. What's your
Right.
analysis of their overall season?
So so basically the regular season was amazing. We finished higher than we were projected to even be. A lot of people didn't even have us making the play-in game. So getting up there and getting that fifth seed, locking that down was just huge. Being a Knicks fan and all the years of struggling and just being terrible. So just achieving that was amazing. But so you get to the playoffs, you play Cleveland, and the way Tom Thibodeau, he's a defensive minded coach. And the frustrating part, though, is he holds everybody accountable except Julius Randle. And that part is so frustrating if he's your so called all star, third team, all NBA this year, but he doesn't say anything to this guy. So you're playing defense versus Cleveland, it worked because they had Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland. Then they really didn't have anybody else that could shoot the ball. So when you transition that and we're playing the Heat, their whole team shoots 3-pointers. Their whole team, except Cody Zeller, who played maybe 5 minutes a game. But everybody else is lethal from behind the arc. So to just the fact that this guy makes no adjustments and can go out there for 6 straight games and double team and overhelp for every single possession was like the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Ever. Like, okay, you're doubling me. I'm going to swing the ball, and then it's another high. It says, I'm going to swing the ball when you're rotating. So you have all these guys chasing around for no why are you doubling anybody? It made absolutely no sense. So these guys are wide open, draining threes left and right. And then you have Julius Randle on offense. He goes 100%. On defense, he goes 0%. He's not helping. He's not rotating. He turns over the ball. He's not even hustling back. There was multiple times where people get a steal. It's a 2-on-1. Brunson's back. He's missing. They missed the layup, get the rebound, missed the offensive this dude's still not back on the other side. That is just, and as a Knicks fan, you could have a bad game, but as long as you're defending and hustling, that makes up for everything. But it is so frustrating to watch this guy play basketball. I'm still frustrated. Like Jalen Brunson dropped 41 points. The rest of the starters were like 5 for 44.
I tell you one thing. I gotta start off by saying, and I think I said this before on the show. Right now, if you're the GM of the Dallas Mavericks, you gotta be kicking yourself. You underevaluated Brunson. Yeah, I know his dad coaches the Knicks, and that's gonna be so hard to pull. You know, it's so hard to avoid. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, you guys are father and son here, right?
Yeah.
If Doc can get you to work by us, he'd do anything he can to do so, right? But I think the Mavericks so underevaluated this player, and if they offered the same amount of money, he probably stays.
Yes.
It
backfired on Mark Cuban because Jalen Brunson had a team option, which it's not even up to him. It's up to Cuban. Cuban turned down the team option, making him an unrestricted agent going into last season. He had doubles for Dallas while Doncic was hurt. So he fumbled the bag himself before Rick Brunson was even hired by the Knicks. Anything. All he had to do was pick that up, and he was under their control for 2 more years before he could even get a big deal. And now he's blaming the Knicks, like, oh, Rick Brunson family ruined it. Like, you had the choice with the team. It wasn't even a player option. You turned it down, making him an unrestricted free agent. So
and then they had to pivot and get Kyrie. We all know how bad Kyrie is,
and they
with chemistry.
And now he's an unrestricted free agent.
He has nowhere to go. We mentioned this before on the show, Doc and I, and Steve and Jay. He has nowhere to go. Nobody wants this guy, not for the amount of money he's gonna want. You better hope and pray that Mark Cuban and his wallet and his Shark Tank money, could bring him in, because there is nobody. I think the Lakers have already said they don't want him.
Right. The only, like, I don't know if Phoenix gets involved, if they get out of Chris Paul's contract, but I don't see no long-term deal for Kyrie Irving. It might be a year to a 2-year deal, but we'll see.
And all the young teams in the West, like OKC and Houston, who are building from the ground up, you don't want that guy on your team, poisoning the young players.
Right.
What about Mark Cuban? Let's go back to Mark Cuban.
Excuse me.
Remember the bank failure maybe a couple of months ago, the bank in California? So now on the internet, the next day after that bank faults, Mark Cuban is on the internet and he's saying he wants an investigation into that bank. What happened? Guess what? If he invested in that bank and it went under, that's part of being a shark, Mark. That's your investment. You know how many deals actually go through on the show Shark Tank? Only a small percentage. They do it for you to watch the television. Oh, the big deal. But then go on and see those deals. How many of them actually go through? Because they have the option to get out of that deal. So it's just made for television. Not many of those deals actually go through. And for him to pass up on Brunson, that's his own fault.
Yes.
And the fans should they should realize that. And New York should be very thankful for having a player like that, stepping up like that. That's a once in a lifetime thing, right, John? He's
right.
Dropping those points in like nothing.
Yeah, like the way when we gave him the contract, people said we overpaid for him. Like
that was me. I said it.
But he killed it all season, even in the playoffs, just coming in clutch. And that's what hurt the most is just the way Thibodeau, he cut the rotation down and then not holding Randall accountable at all, but you're still playing this guy 40-something minutes. So if it's up to me, I would have to get rid of Thibodeau, and Julius Randle would have to be traded. I can't have that on my team. Like, you could put up regular season numbers, but the playoffs are a different beast. He has the worst shooting percentage all time as a like in NBA history in the playoffs with a minimum of 15 attempts. Like, that is absurd.
And how could they go forward from that, John? That Julius Randle, and people say, well, he's a good player. Yeah, sometimes he is, but most times he's not. And I don't think that going forward, let some other team with a good coach control him and make him accountable, and maybe he can become a better player. Right now, he's just let loose to do whatever he wants.
Even Reggie Bullock, former Knick, who plays for Dallas, he was on a podcast and he said, when I was there in 2021, Thibodeau held everybody accountable except for Julius Randle. We had to. So Mitchell Robinson is making tweets during the playoffs saying he can't guard everybody. And he's right. He's trying to guard Bam, helping out here. People are running all over the place. And if you just break it down, okay, Julius Randle, you're getting double teamed. That means pass the ball right away. It doesn't mean hold on to it, try to dribble through it, be frustrated because you're dumb. Just swing the ball, make the easy play, and he just don't get it.
Yeah, you look like Dan Marino out there on a lot of the plays. He gets pressured, double teamed, and then he fires a pass that has no chance whatsoever of even staying on the court.
Yeah,
just very frustrating as a Knicks fan to watch. Even though they had some great wins this year, it's tough to watch.
And then even with Evan Fournier, played 24 games, but he's probably your best shooter. And the way Miami was playing defense, you could at least put him in, or even Derrick Rose. Like, Derrick Rose is going to penetrate, get to the rim, collapse into anything. He didn't try any of that. So
John, what do you feel? Sorry to interrupt. What do you feel about Thibodeau as a coach? Because reason I'm asking this question is he's always been that coach that gets you there, but then he gets off the bus and someone else takes control of the bus.
Right.
And you have three good coaches who've been fired the past week.
Right.
That maybe will be the next bus driver to where your next level of success for New York.
Right. And with him, he grinds you down through the whole regular season. These guys he barely plays his bench. So you're getting worn out. When he was on the Bulls, Derrick Rose got hurt multiple times. He got fired eventually, goes to Minnesota, gets fired from there, comes to the Knicks. So it's 3 years with us. I mean, we made it in 2021, but it was the same thing. We lose to the Hawks 4-1. He makes no adjustments. We just get crushed. Randall was terrible. The Cavs, luckily, they only had Garland and Mitchell, but Mitchell struggled the whole series, and we looked good. But now you play the Heat where, yes, they have Jimmy Butler and Bam, but their whole team is getting involved and getting wide open looks from three. And he didn't make any adjustments, and that's his game plan, is to double, get the ball swinging, but it backfired. So what's weird as well is the Knicks stopped. They didn't even do a closeout press conference. They stopped everything with the New York media back in 2021. So nobody knows anything with them. It's crazy.
I tell you, one thing I think we should do, John, is we should take your Facebook group and make it a show. NBA Uncensored.
Definitely.
So I think NBA is going to be, it's going to be a very intriguing off season.
Right, and when I started that a couple years back, I just wanted anybody that could come in, post what they want to post, voice their opinion. Now I think it's a 1.3 thousand people that are in the group, and it just took off from there. But
So tell them about John. Tell them how to get on.
so Facebook group's called NBA Uncensored. Anybody can join, and it's there for you to rant, post about your team, anything you want that's NBA related. We welcome everybody.
Nice. And tell us about the Knicks trade. They just recently made a trade.
Well, the Knicks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
trade.
we can't trade yet. We have to wait for the draft. That's when everybody's eligible, or you can start making trades. Is once the draft comes.
So who did they say they're going after?
Everybody. I've heard everybody so far.
Yeah, it's tough. Like the biggest thing I've heard is Karl Anthony Towns, because the Knicks, like Leon Rose is part of CAA agency, and Karl Anthony Towns is one of his clients. I've heard from him, but his contract is pretty crazy. But my thing about it is if you could move Julius Randle and just get like 2, 3, and D guys, that helps your team. It spaces the floor, and you're putting a threat. And then the thing with Mitchell Robinson is he makes it tough on offense as well, because all he does is catches lobs. If you try to throw him a pass while he's on the floor, he's dropping it out of bounds, fumbling it. He plays good defense, but he doesn't even have a post move. He doesn't have a left or right little jump hook. So it's tough for him as well. So that's what helps the defense put all their attention on everybody else. So we definitely need shooting.
So John, let's NBA's I guess the hot topic today. Midst of the playoffs. I believe I'm watching right here. I believe the Celtics are over the Heat right now, which is expected. So you said you're real close to Denver.
Right.
What are your thoughts about the Nuggets? I love them. I've been watching them all playoff, and Jokic is like he's the perfect mix of old school Bill Laimbeer type center with three-point shot mixed in.
Yeah, he should have won the MVP again for the third year in a row. The way this guy impacts the game and his vision and passing for a big man is crazy, and his footwork. And that team, it's team basketball. That's what makes them tough. Then you take Michael Porter, Aaron Gordon. They're big wings that are quick, can defend anybody. Jamal Murray and they're deep as well. Their whole roster. So I have them winning the whole thing with the last 4 teams left.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I can't see anybody stopping him. Him and the fact that Embiid choked and disappeared on Game 7 is giving him more motivation to say, "F you! I told you so. I should have won it again."
Yes.
Now, I read somewhere Joel Embiid being traded to the Knicks. I don't know.
It's tough being a Knicks fan as well, because unless I see it on the bottom line and it's official, you can't believe anything, because every year we're after freaking everybody and nothing ever happens. They get your hopes up because it's a huge media market and nothing like ever comes through. You just got to cross your fingers and wait till it's official.
Well, that's half the issue. Is like, I mean, I hate to say it, John, you have one of the worst owners in sports.
Yes.
And a lot of people don't want to play for the guy.
Right.
By the way, it go down to the coach too, Bobby.
It's been that way for a lot of years, but I think when he hired like Leon Rose and Worldwide West, brought all these guys in, he's kind of took the back seat. He's still the owner, but he's not involved like he used to be. Like, hey, I need this guy, and I'm trading all the picks. Like, finally, I think we're 20th in payroll. My whole life, we were number 1 in payroll with no draft picks and never could get anybody.
Yeah, because you had Allen Houston and Chris Childs.
Yep.
You're paying those guys after they left.
Right.
Unreal.
So with this, at least you have flexibility now, and you have draft picks. This year they did trade their first round part of the Josh Hart deal, which worked out, and then the Porzingis trade. If Dallas would have fell out of the top 10 yesterday, we
They
would
would
have
have got it.
their pick, but they ended up getting 10. So right now we have no picks in the draft, so we'll see how that happens. What happens with that?
I think there's gonna be a lot of movement in basketball. I think it's gonna be almost seismic movement because right now it's pretty wide open. Yeah,
Right.
Denver, like I said, Denver is the best team in the NBA right now, and look how many years it took. Porter was injured how many years? Jamal Murray was injured how many years? And they're finally putting it together. It took a while,
Mm-hmm.
and I think the Lakers being in the semi or the finals is a big fluke. Lakers don't belong there. I mean,
Yeah, they played tough, and like look at Austin Reeves.
Unbelievable.
He is going bananas, and believe it or not, he's an unrestricted free agent. He's only making like 1.5 million. So people are lined up to try to take him, similar to the Jalen Brunson.
Bronny makes more than that. Bronny makes more than that in high school.
He goes to the Knicks, John. He's going right to the Knicks.
Well,
I see the Knicks. Now there's speculation that Trae Young is on the block. And I know you mentioned the series a couple of years ago, and he was booed out of the Garden. But I think the Knicks are gonna. It's not this year, next year, because now Luka's unhappy, right?
right.
Luka to make the playoffs. They bring in Kyrie, got rid of Brunson, and now he's not happy. So if you're again get back to Mark Cuban, he's gonna be quaking in his underwear the next 12 months or so because Luka wants to go. Luka's gonna go.
Mm-hmm.
And the good and bad thing with the Knicks and even Brooklyn right down the road there is that it's the biggest media market in the world. Where else are you going to make that kind of money? That's why I can't see Shohei Ohtani not coming here next year. It's one of the two teams because he's going to make that much more money being here. LA is pretty big. It's number 2, right? But there's something about New York.
Yeah, Bobby, not only the biggest media market, but New York has the best home builder, home repairman, Eddie Edge Remodeling, our sponsor. If you want some work done on your home, put on a new porch, a dormer, Eddie Edge Remodeling, Franklin Square, New York. Unbelievable craftsmanship, fully licensed. Edge Remodeling. Can't say enough about it. This is why so many athletes move to the big market, New York, New Jersey area. Edge Remodeling. Can't beat it.
It's funny. I heard my cousin talking the other day or a few weeks ago. Somebody he knows he's good friends with is working on Brian Daboll's house. Because there's so many people here, celebrities and athletes and whatnot. It's just bound to happen. So yeah, I think there's gonna be a lot of movement in potentially in the next year or two. Maybe not this, Luka's gonna be Luka. You mentioned Karl Anthony Towns.
Mm-hmm.
He lost a lot of his family to COVID.
Right.
Maybe he wants to get back home and closer to who he has left. I think I keep saying this. Draymond Green's coming somewhere. I don't think he stays in Golden State anymore.
He has a plan well for I think it's 29 million. He can decline to become an unrestricted free agent, or he could pick it up to stay there for another year. But even they got Jordan Poole, which they don't. Who knows if they get along or not? But that's who he knocked out before the season started. And Jordan Poole goes from like 5 million all the way up to 28 million season. So they're going to have to do something with that as well. And a lot of young guys there are getting frustrated because they're not playing. like Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody. They're ready to, actually play. They're tired of being on the bench. I don't blame them. And back to the Knicks, I feel bad for Obi Toppin because he's behind Randall. And Tibbs, I guess guys get you, comes in, gets you rebounds, points, and he barely plays them. It's
Now,
frustrating.
Obi Toppin's brother, he plays where, John?
Yeah, but he's coming out of Kentucky, Jacob Toppin. And I know the draft combine's going on now from May 15th to May 21st. And so he did enter the draft. And the difference is when you used to enter the draft before, you couldn't go back to school. But now, if you sign with an agent, you can't go back to school. But a lot of guys are entering the draft combine, seeing what they're getting graded. And if it's not a good grade, then they could come back to school or transfer to another one.
So
Yep.
do you see him playing with his brother, possibly?
Well, as of now, we got to try to, if we trade for some picks, because the Knicks have none in the first round, none in the second round. Up this.
Wow, Miami was down big. They were down double digits to start the second half, and they tied it up.
Well, they're going the same plan as they did with the Knicks, right, John? They passed that ball around, and they seem to find the open man.
Well, people are asking me, and I said, well, I have Boston winning a series because they're not going to double or overhelp for no reason every possession. They're going to play defense the way you should play defense. And especially with Jimmy Butler on a bad ankle, supposedly, how are you doubling or overhelping somebody that doesn't need to be? They're just doubling anybody. It was crazy to watch. Every possession, just whoever has the ball, they're doubling or sending help.
So what do you think James Harden ends up?
The Harden's another one where he's planning to decline the player option to be a free agent. And for some crazy reason, I keep hearing he's trying to go back to Houston. He said he doesn't want to be like controlled by a coach. He just wants to be free. But even him, he kept them in that series with 2 game-winning shots, and he played great. But all the other games, is terrible. So, and
it sounds like maybe a Julius Randle.
Well, Randall, it's tough because we're stuck with him for at least 2 more years guaranteed, and then he has a player option for the 3rd year. So unless we trade him, it's going to be tough. But another big one is like Kristaps Porzingis. He has a player option where he could decline to come unrestricted. Kyle Kuzma is another one that could at least, 3-point shooting. He's quick. So it's definitely going to be interesting. A lot of movement going on.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I always used to love baseball, hot stove, right back in the day, because always players moving, and now you got like NFL is just like it's a year-round machine now. Nothing ever stops.
Right.
And I think NBA is getting to that now, where it's like, all right, you have the last 4 teams left, I think, and but you're already starting to hear whispers about next year already.
Yep.
And on top of all of that, you have FIBA this summer in August. Mm-hmm. So a lot of players gearing up for that. And, even Ben Simmons wants to play for Australia.
Oh.
Guy hasn't played, but maybe that's a good sign that he's getting his head and body back to a place where it should be.
And that I hope so for his sake, because that's a guy, he has, I think, 2 years guaranteed left. And I don't see it after it's over if he doesn't get right. Like, who would take the chance to even – he might be out of the league or in Taiwan with Dwight Howard. He's recruiting. Yeah.
And, Doc, I don't know if you noticed, we mentioned before Jokic. Guy was a 41st pick in the draft, 2nd round. So it just I guess it just gives hope that there's only 2 rounds in the NBA draft, and you can find good players. Wait, Brunson, was it Brunson also? 2nd round.
I believe
2nd round pick.
2nd round pick. Yep. And
so
there's 60 total picks, but this year there's only 58 because 2 of them got forfeited for tampering. in the draft. And did you see Bronny James committed to USC? And they
Wow.
Yeah, he got to stay home with mommy and daddy. He can't leave. He can't be on his own.
and then
Government,
his son transferred from Washington State to join you.
So someone transferred to USC from where?
From Dennis Rodman's
son, yeah.
transferred from Washington State to join Bronny James at USC.
Yeah, so I mean, it's college basketball is a mess with the transfer portal and NIL money. I'm in the thick of it with my school, Seton Hall, and like I said, NBA. I think it's gonna be pretty cool to watch FIBA this year again because I think the feverish way of watching NBA now is it's there. It's getting higher, you know. And once the old man retires, finally, you know, it's only going to open up more opportunities, I think.
Right. There's a guy in our area from Montana State. His name's Raekwon Battle, and he just transferred to West Virginia. So be on the lookout for him. He's just an amazing ball player, and Bob Huggins landed him.
Anybody else coming out of college, John? That's hot
for the draft.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I was watching Doc. I was reading before, like the post, you know, Wembyana mock draft, and the first 10 guys are majority freshmen or G League elite.
Yes.
Wow.
People that are skipping college, they go straight to the G League to get that year, and then enter the draft. And then it's kind of crazy, the lottery. Like the Spurs get David Robinson. Lottery. They get Tim Duncan winning the lottery. Tony Parker owns this team that this guy is on.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
He owns the French team that he's playing for, and then the Spurs win, and they tank. You know, they tanked all season, and they win the lottery, which is crazy. Why does it have to be a cards? What happened to the ping pong balls on live TV? Let's draw it that way. So it's not questionable.
Yeah, I'm not too happy because my guy Sandro Mama Kushlevi from Seton Hall, you know, was drafted in the second round by the Bucks. And he got released and signed by the Spurs, and had a pretty good last 2 months of the season, really good. But now he's a 6'11" guy. You know, is this guy gonna now affect his growth in the NBA? Finally found a home, and then the Spurs win the. I'm like, oh. I got a feeling that's going to affect him now because he's a big European big, but we'll see. But yeah, I mean, what a spot! Not only do you go to you know, a team that has the history, like I said, with Duncan and Robinson, but you have arguably the greatest coach in NBA history to learn from the first couple of years before he passes off to Becky Hammon, who will be the first NBA women's coach.
Wow!
You know that's probably already quietly. In place.
A big shout out to Becky Hammon from Rapid City, South Dakota.
There you go.
Yes. So what we're rooting for her. We hope she makes it to the NBA.
I can't see how she's not the first female head coach. I think it's already. I think she's getting experience now in the WNBA, just so she has that head coach mentality. And by the way, speaking of WNBA, Brooklyn's got a super team. There's one super team in Las Vegas that Tom Brady's part owner of, by the way, and Brooklyn has a super team of like 5 All-Stars. Yeah, I've been involved with women's basketball for a while, you know, with WABA when I used to be with them. So I always have a little penchant to watch the, you know, and I really haven't watched much WNBA, but now that we have the super team and whatnot, I might catch a game here or there.
Right.
Well, I think I know the first woman that could play in the NBA. She just came out of Iowa, shoot the lights out of the ball. Caitlin Clark, unbelievable. How about it, John?
I was wondering too after the season, and they lost LSU. I'm like, okay, let me look at the mock draft for the WNBA just to see where they can go, and they can't even come out. Like their rules, they they got to go back to school because you have to wait till I think you're at least a junior. So after you play your junior season, then you're eligible for the draft. But she can go now and play.
And that's the problem, though, is like her and the girl from LSU, who they're battling against, I guess they're
Right.
making more money now in NIL than the
Yep.
WNBA pays.
Yep.
There's a reason why Brittany Grenier was in Russia, because they had to take out 2 salaries and play 2 different seasons just to make a decent. Well, for us, it's a great salary, right? But for a pro player, they got to play 2 different seasons professionally just to make a pro salary, which is crazy. But I think the G League makes more money than the G League Elite makes more money than WNBA.
And you got
crazy.
the G League right there in Rapid City, John.
So they're out of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, Dad.
Okay.
The Sioux Falls Skyforce, and they're the affiliate to the Miami Heat.
And how are they?
That makes sense geographically.
Yeah.
I had no clue either, and I went and checked them out, and I met Bill Walker. He used to play for the Knicks, and he was in the G League, but Joe Harris was playing too, but now he's on Brooklyn.
Real quick, let's have a little school lesson here, folks. Like we did with the Italian national team's roster. Okay, you got the Westchester Knicks. About how far, Doc? 10 miles? 5 miles?
Where? Westchester Knicks?
Compared to the New York Knicks.
Oh yeah, very, very close. Well, I mean,
all right,
Valhalla to
White Plains to
Manhattan's like 36 miles.
If that, all right. Then you have the Brooklyn Nets and the Long Island Nets, 15, 20 miles. But how the hell is the Miami team in Sioux City, South Dakota? That's not even the same part of the country.
Well,
how is that possible?
I think I know why. They send them out to Sioux Falls to get toughened up from the cold weather and the wind and the elements and the buffalo and the pronghorn deer and the environment. Then they send them to Miami, and they're all set. They're tough.
I mean, tell me you're Denver's affiliate. Tell me you're Minnesota's affiliate. And I got you. But Miami? Something's wrong. Something's wrong there. Something's wrong there.
So who owns that team, John?
I'm not sure the owner, but I know when I was there, Kenny Atkinson was the head coach.
All right.
And now he's a top assistant. He was.
Well, he should have been fired by the Brooklyn Nets. Let's face it. He should not have been fired by the Brooklyn Nets because KD didn't like him.
Yeah, he turned Brooklyn around and made them. They even made the playoffs that year with the young roster.
I love that roster. I mean, I hope Sean Marks learned from that. And, we got to sign Cam Thomas. That's huge.
And he has a qualifying offer, so he'll be a restricted free agent. But as long as they match that or match anybody coming for him, and that's another player. Like, he's a lights-out shooter, could get to the rim, has size.
We're just like the Cavaliers. You guys played in the playoffs. We're both missing a tough guy. We're both missing an enforcer. So where that comes from in the NBA, I don't know. That's why I keep saying I don't see Draymond Green staying there because he can be paid a lot of money by some of these teams who are one player away.
Right.
One player away, an enforcer to punch Joel Embiid in the face when you have to.
The new Charles Oakley, right, Bobby?
Yep.
And the way he loves LeBron James, like I could see him opting out and trying to go to the Lakers. I could just see it happening.
I don't know, but I'm really excited next year to be, I got made fun of a lot because I'm a guy who likes 2 teams. I'm a Yankee Marlins fan. I'm a Steelers Giants fan. That's it. But everyone thinks I'm this multi-team fan. But I'm looking forward, I'm a Nets fan, right? I'll always be a Bulls fan because of Jordan. But I'm looking forward to watching those Kings next year because they took that step. They almost they won that first round, and them winning that game in Golden State, Game 6.
6.
That's their jumping off point.
And I thought
mean,
that going back to Sacramento for Game 7, but Curry,
yeah. What Curry was just on fire. So
right, believable game, and there's just nothing they could do. But
they are there. They are there. They are a step away, and they are fun to watch. They really are.
Now, John, I got a question for you. Let's shoot over to football real quick. And the New York Jets, many people just are very upset with the Jets over the past years. They land Aaron Rodgers. What do you feel about Rodgers in New York?
Honestly, it's championship or bust. That's how the way they traded for him. It took a while. They finally got it done, but that's what they're going for. Their defense is already good. Their question was at quarterback. Hopefully, and fixes that. They have great receiving core, which would help them. But if you look at like who won the trade, like the Packers came out really good in this as well. Like they get a first round pick if Rodgers plays 65% of the season. Like that's almost a given, and it's going to turn into a first round pick. But if you're a Jets fan, you got to be excited. Like all the years of struggling, nothing. Like finally, hopefully, he could turn them around and get them in the playoffs. But he's in a super tough division, and the AFC is super tough as well. So,
and what about, can they protect him? Can the New York Jets, can the offensive line protect Aaron Rodgers?
I think they'll be able to. I really think so, and they should be a really good team and fun to watch as long as he stays healthy. So
I'll tell you though, people are sleeping on Buffalo.
Right.
They had a great draft. I didn't even notice they signed. One I think is a really good underrated running back, especially for a backup. Latavius Murray is on Buffalo this year.
Yeah, it's like
Damian Harris is on Buffalo this year. What's the one thing you can say that Buffalo was lacking last year? A running game. James Cook is there, right? Singletary's still there, I think. So they have, and they picked up the real good tight end. Well, I think Mike Myers better, but we'll see. And they picked up a really good lineman. So I think people are sleeping on Buffalo to the point where it's all Jets. It's all Miami with these with their offense and whatnot. And I think people are just going to forget the Buffalo Bills are that close.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. But yeah, the Jets are Doc. I remember something before. Oh yeah, they're in the Super Bowl ring conversation the next 2 years. No, they're not.
Yeah.
Not with him at quarterback.
And that thing, like it's championship or bust for making the trade. But even like when he was at Green Bay these last couple of years, he struggled. He's in the pocket. He's not hitting open receivers. Even like mini camp, training camp, he's showing up late. He's not even working with these receivers. So all that needs to be taken into account as well. So.
It was funny. I saw this in a meme last week. I thought it was hilarious. I should have saved it. In fact, we should have that. We should have like our sports memes of the week or something. So if we find something we like, it's funny, we each present one or two as part of the show. I love these memes when they come out. But it was like Aaron Rodgers bitching and moaning at the Green Bay management about never giving him weapons. But yeah, every weapon he gave them, he now wants on the Jets. Right? You're complaining that they gave you nothing, yet you want all those guys with you now. I don't know. I don't know, I think the guy's off his rocker. I think not off his rocker, but there's something off about the guy.
Right.
So, like, why is he not talking to his family?
Who
Why is he go? Why
goes
is he go?
into silence, Bobby? Who goes into a silent chamber? I never heard of it. To find himself? I don't know. What do you think about it, John?
It sounds like some of the stuff like one of my favorite TV shows of all time was Entourage, right? That's something I can see Vinny Chase doing. He has to go into what do you call it? What was it called?
The Darkness Retreat.
Yeah,
Darkness
Darkness
Retreat.
Retreat Center.
Like, what the hell is that all about? Let me tell you. I was there for the great blackout at Villaroma 2 summers ago, when the whole place was pitch black. It was not fun.
Yeah, it's not fun.
It was not. It was scary as hell.
Yeah, I want to show you something right here. I showed it to Bobby. This friends of mine. This is Rocky Colavito, Cleveland Indian, ended up with the New York Yankees. He played for several teams. Big slugger, led the league in home runs one year. To Doc Holliday, with my best wishes to a great baseball fan, sincerely, Rocky Colavito. And I'll treasure this always.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Rocky. He pitched a game, Bobby, for the New York Yankees. It was in relief, and it was part of a doubleheader. I remember watching that game. He didn't pitch too many. That wasn't his first time pitching. Ironically, he pitched first time, I believe, in 1968 against the Detroit Tigers, and that's the year that the Detroit won the World Series, of course. Pretty cool stuff. I know you got a lot of memorabilia, Bobby. What's your favorite thing?
I have a little bit. I mean, I don't have much. I mean, right above my TV, which I think I'll take a full picture. I have my framed World Series ticket because I went to the Game 5 of 2000 when the Yankees beat the Mets in Shea. I have I actually got media credentials. Me and my cousin, when we started doing our first big talk show, right, about football, we got invited to critique Lombardi on Broadway.
Oh, nice.
With who was played by the guy from Wonder Years, the dad, and he signed that.
Okay.
I have some stuff. Most of it's. I had an original Lawrence Taylor signed jersey. Now, back in the day, people don't realize this. Jerseys were much different back in the '80s than they are now. They're basically, you know. So I have him and Rodney Hampton that they faded by now. Oh, but I guess my favorite piece of memorabilia is probably my 2 signed CDs by Don Henley from Villaroma in the cafe in '94. But yeah, I have more of those baseball cards, which I'm gonna flip in the fall when I get back from the summer and stuff, and make a show out of it.
Very
It's
nice.
fun.
And I know I passed some stuff down to John. And John, what are some of your favorite things? I know you collect a lot of Atlanta Falcons. I have pictures of John since he's just a little kid, and almost every single picture, he's either wearing an Atlanta Falcons or an Atlanta Braves T-shirt, or an Atlanta Falcons or Atlanta Braves hat, which is pretty cool. Hundreds of pictures wearing that kind of stuff. So what do you got, John?
Yeah, I'll go grab something real quick so I can show y'all on the camera. Right.
Yeah, I'm on my want list as far as sports jerseys is a Hank Aaron jersey from Atlanta. It's on my list of things I want to get.
Yeah, number 44. What a ball player, Henry Aaron. And Bobby, talking about memorabilia, I have one in the office. I treasure it, and I look at it quite often. A signed picture Gene Snitsky, the wrestler from the WWE, Big Gene Snitsky, just stomping on somebody's head. And he signed it personally to me. I treasure it, and I see it in the office every day.
Yeah, I gotta get out there before the summer begins.
Have you talked to Big Gene lately?
We keep missing each other. I'm really busy with this baseball broadcast for the high school, and now we're heading towards the end. But in June, before I'm up. By the way, when is week 25? Do you know when that starts?
The last week of June.
Okay.
Yeah. Bronx Wanderers, of course, will be here July 3rd. At the Monday, fireworks on July 4th. I've got live turtle racing coming up. We've got the racers ready to go. The track's being put up tomorrow on the field, so we'll be ready to race. Great entertainment. Roz Brown Experience will be here. Chris Monty here tonight. Chris Monty will be back. Jeff Norris here next Wednesday night. And again on June 3rd, Jeff Norris will be here twice in the next within the next month. Great comedy. Johnny Iavarone will be here this Friday at 9:30, and then again next Friday, the start of Labor Day weekend on the 26th. John Peasy will be here on the 27th. Emil Stucchio and the Classics on the 28th. That's a Sunday night. So we're getting ready, rolling in the summer. DJ Bobby Blackjack will be here all summer long. He'll be here tomorrow night as well as Saturday night with the Elks. What do you got, John?
I'm loving it, though.
My favorite pieces from Notre Dame University, and it's an actual piece of the bench from the bleachers. So it's an actual wooden piece that they used to sit on. It's over 85 years old, and it was one of my favorite pieces.
Very nice.
I tell you, I've been a Notre Dame fan since like second grade. We had to do a book report on whoever, so I chose Newt Rockne, right?
Okay.
And part of the thing was you had to dress up or have a prop to be part of your talking about your book report. So my dad had this old, Giants helmet, right?
What, soft helmet, Bobby?
Yeah, like one of those soft, one of those ones like, play ones. It wasn't really a serious helmet or anything.
Like a leatherback.
No, it was more like a replica old school helmet, right? With the single bar around it, not these. So I had painted it gold. Or maybe he did it. I don't know if I did it myself or my dad did it. So anyway, I have this gold helmet. I still have it. Like it's still part of my props and everything.
Nice.
So I've been a Notre Dame fan since then. So I'm super excited for the season because I think we have something special. And if you watch the past couple seasons, we'll talk more college football over the summer, obviously. But if you watched the past couple of years, we're getting faster, we're getting stronger, especially on defense, where we could now go against the big boys. And this quarterback transfer, Hartman.
Yeah, Sam Hartman, baby.
Is going to put us over the top this year, I'm telling you.
Heisman.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you that John's not only an Atlanta Falcons and Atlanta Braves fan, his number one team in college is the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, and that's myself as well, from my upbringing, from my dad, and John growing up, always rooting for the Fighting Irish, right, John?
Yes. One of my favorite pictures I have is with Rocket Ishmael, and I have the Notre Dame tattoo with the leprechaun doing the Heisman. So I rolled my sleeve up to take the picture with him. He's like, "That's one of the best tattoos I've ever seen." I met him when we played Miami down in 2017, and they just demolished us that game. But it was an awesome experience.
Hey, look who's just joined us, John. All the way from Callicoon, New York, at the beautiful Villa Roma Hotel. Chris Monti.
Hey, how are you guys?
Let's play Guess the Room. Judge by that chair, you're not in the lodge because
I'm not in the lodge.
I live in the lodge.
I'm in the main hotel.
Oh, you got upgraded. Chris Monti got an upgrade.
I got an upgrade, and I have to hold my phone because I don't have my tripod. What's going on, fellas?
No, we're just talking. We had the gamut. We talked a little bit of horse racing. Big conversation about NBA and Knicks and whatnot and what's going on. We're just talking some college football, some NFL. So what's on your mind today?
I want to know who Doc likes for the Preakness.
Well, Chris, we mentioned earlier, and I mentioned to everyone on there that the only horse running in the Preakness from the Kentucky Derby is the Kentucky Derby winner. Everybody else is brand new. So it's, as they're saying, it's Maggie's race to lose. And definitely that horse will go off as the favorite. But I did also mention that my buddy Bobby the Fish from Florida, who came up here before the Derby, said that the jockey made a mistake in the Florida Derby with this horse Maggie. And he said he was there at the Florida Derby, and he said if that jockey hadn't made a mistake, that horse would have beaten Forte. So, of course, I had that horse, and he did much bigger than I did. But, you know, he says if that horse had beaten Forte, it probably would have been the favorite at the Derby.
I think, the Derby horse is always usually the Derby winner is always usually within the top three in the Preakness, no matter what. It's a shame, Doc, that that's the only horse running from the Derby. It shows you how the game has changed drastically because in the old days, you would maybe get one or two new faces total in the Preakness. It would be all the Derby horses going back, and you'd get 15 horses in the Preakness and maybe one new face. Now it's 7 new faces and 1 return, which is kind of sad. You got the Baffert horse that looks really, really good. National Treasure. I love this horse Perform, who's similar to you say Maggie, I say Mage, whatever the name of the horse is, however you pronounce it. But late closing kick though on Perform, and only getting better with every race. But it's going to be, you got to use the favorite in your exotics and stuff like that. But there's a few horses in here that I think it's a wide open race.
Well, one thing about Pimlico, and the history tells us, is that the inside post, it's on a little bit of an angle, and it's very tough to win from the inside post there. So National Treasure, as good a horse as it is, it's going to need a little help.
But knowing that and the experience of the jockey, they'll get out of the gate and move to the middle, if they can, if they have it's a very tight track too. It's not a lot of room to maneuver.
Well, going way back, a Canadian jockey, he was once a 9th on the all-time wins list, Sandy Hawley, 5,449. He was going for his 55th 100 win. And he said he drew the 1 hole, and he said, my mates wouldn't let me out. So,
I mean, they'll do everything to pin that horse. And listen, I don't want to use the horse because I'm not a Baffert fan. I like the horse Perform, and I also like Blazing Sevens, another horse on the upswing. So I'm going to try and beat the favorite with some prices because it's a smaller field, and you're not going to get the big numbers you can get in the Derby. So I'm going to try and beat them with Blazing Sevens Perform. I got to use the favorite because you have to use him. But even though he's the favorite, he's not going to be like even money or 1-5. He's going to be 8-5 or a usable favorite for prices. So
I also think that if that horse doesn't get a good start, it's going to be tough to close like the Derby, with it being a little shorter of a race. I don't know if he's going to get to the line, and that's where the prices come in.
Yes.
it could be just like the Derby. A $32 horse on top would be nice.
Oh yeah, definitely. So I'm looking forward to that, and I get to work right as post time. I picked up a show before my main show on Saturday, so I get to go. Somebody had called me and said, "Hey, do you want to perform for our 50th birthday party?" And it's about 20 minutes away from where my 8 o'clock show is on Saturday. And they said, "Oh, I could put you on at 6:45." And I said, "Sure." And then I looked at it and I said, "Oh, son of a bitch, I'm gonna miss the Preakness. I'm gonna have to watch it on replay."
How was your show tonight, Chris?
The show was good. We were at Marty's Lounge tonight. It was a nice turnout, and the crowd was very receptive and very gracious and kind. And I was just that's why it took me a few minutes to get back here. I was talking to a few people after the show, and they were great. They were great. I don't know why my screen keeps going dark. You know anything about that, Bobby?
No, but you've been fine here, so you're not going dark.
No,
here.
but I got to keep touching my screen so it doesn't black out on me.
Oh,
I'm on my phone. Normally, I'm on my laptop.
Yeah, it could be a setting. Maybe when it turns off. What a great game, by the way. This game's actually turning out to be very good.
Oh, you talking about the basketball game? Did the Mets lose?
They were losing. Yankees lost in the 10th.
Oh.
Yeah,
Let's
but
you know, Bobby, give us a Mets update.
Had it right here. Hold on. Mets won in the 10th.
Oh wow.
There's a shock.
It must be going to be under freezing temperatures tonight.
Yeah, that's what it is. Tampa Bay doesn't like the cold weather.
Yeah.
That's a excuse my French, that's a shit show what's going on in Queens right now. But you know what? Listen, as far as the Yankees are concerned, they got the first 2 games in the series. Two big wins with all the controversy that went on. And tonight, you know what? You're going to lose. You're not going to win every night. Toronto's not a pushover.
It just sucks that Don Mattingly's a Toronto coach. That's my guy right there. That's my guy, Don Mattingly.
Of course, but the Yankees won't hire him. And the
I'll tell you what, though. I'll tell you what.
He was in Florida for 20 years.
Aaron Boone is if they don't do well this year, someone's got to be the scapegoat.
Listen, they've been saying that they went to the American League Championship. So they're going to go there every year. They can't beat Houston. It's not Aaron Boone's fault, but I understand. But what are you going to do? It's Cashman. It's Cashman's time has ended.
All right, so real quick, I got a thing here. Pete Alonso with a walk-off home run.
Finally.
Now,
He's been in a slump.
Now, Chris, you're the big Mets fan, right? I mentioned this, I think, last week or maybe a different show. Who takes the fall for the Mets? If the Mets really stay at this level rest of the season,
you got to blame the general manager. You got to blame the general manager, right?
Is it Billy or is it Buck?
I don't think it's Buck. You got to blame the general manager. If you're not getting this guy the players, they didn't go out and get any bats. Same thing. They put the same squad out there basically they had last year, and they got older at pitching, at starting pitching. And what's been their downfall this year? They can't hit just like last year in the clutch, and their pitching is all on the DL. And they're when their starters, when they are healthy, are all 102 years old.
Yeah.
So you got to blame the general manager for not going out and getting a couple of bats and waiting so long. They brought Vientos up tonight. How long are you going to wait to bring the kids up? They're tearing the cover off the ball. Maurizio, Vientos, bring these kids up. What are you waiting for? What do you got to lose? Let them come up. Put them in the lineup. Sit some of the veterans down. Let the rookies hit 3, 4, 5. Shake it up. What do you get to lose? It's May and you're losing your season already. So I got to blame the general manager and not really Buck at this point because he's only going to play what his team is, what he has to use.
So John, get back to you real quick. As a Atlanta Braves fan, who are you most afraid of to come up from the depths? Would it be the Mets or would it be the
Mets?
Right now, with Bryce Harper getting back healthy, definitely the Phillies. I think the Mets will turn it around and try to come back and get into it. But I know the Marlins were in second as of today. Jazz Chisholm just got hurt. He's out 2 to 4 weeks, I believe. So, but we're hanging on for dear life. Our starting pitching is hurt. Our bullpen keeps blowing every game. So it's going to get interesting.
Oh, we lost Chris Fair. Oh, by the way, for those people who think that I'm not a Marlins fan, right above my computer is my little Marlins tribute area. You got both championship hats. I got a banner. I got a jersey. So I am a real Marlins fan. Hi,
Who's
Chris.
their mascot, Bobby?
Bobby the Fish.
That's
Right?
But the Braves are the best team in the Eastern Division. I'm not worried about them. They're loaded from top to bottom. They might be slumping right now, and that's fine. They started out the same way a little bit last year. They had that slump. So the Mets are right now. I'm not worried about the Mets. Like, if you're a Braves fan, don't worry about the Mets. The Mets got a lot of problems right now. They're the Phillies are definitely the team that, like, they might do what they did last year and turn it on late.
I'm thinking the Mets should go out and get Greg Maddux out of retirement.
Greg Maddux.
Yeah.
Doug Sisk, bring him back.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of curious, Chris. Who brought you on stage today? Because my buddy Doc was on the show today.
Cat, I know. I texted him before the show. I said, "Are you coming down to introduce me?" And he's like, "No, Cat's going to do it." So, Cat was running the karaoke and dance session before my show, and she did a great job. And I forgot her name, so I texted Doc. But yeah, she did a great job, and they had a great time with her. So she introduced me, and she did a stellar introduction.
That's great to hear, Chris. That puts me at ease being at home with my lovely wife, Joy.
Yes. Doc needs a break every once in a while.
Yes.
Sometimes he comes back just to introduce me, and I feel bad for the guy.
So Anthony Duclaws tomorrow night, Chris, the young singing star, and Friday night, John
Ivarone is coming back.
Yes. So,
I saw Caesar.
Yes. Yeah, Johnny got his own Caesar commercial now.
I know. I heard he did a great job. I'm so glad that I can help out and recommend a guy that's a friend of mine that did well here at Villa Roma, because entertainment is the king here, and you want to have good acts.
Yes, and Johnny is not only here this Friday night, he's here next Friday night as well. So you got him in the thick of things, Chris.
Wow. Now I'm going to have to call him and tell him you're taking all my spots.
Yeah.
No, I'm glad for him. That's wonderful.
And who are some of your favorite people to work with, Chris?
Doc Holliday and Bobby Blackjack.
Very nice.
No, I mean, all the guys that you use here are my friends. I saw you have Jeff Norris coming back. Jeff and I just did a show last Friday, May 12th in New Jersey. I know you have, I don't know. Do you guys use John Peasy anymore? John Peasy is a good friend of mine.
Next week.
He's here
Next week. John Peasy's fantastic. There's so many guys. Chris Roach and Eric Tartaglione. All the guys that you pretty much have in your rotation are all my good friends. So I love everybody.
Chris, you know who we really miss? He moved away. You know who I'm going to say?
Freddie Rubino.
Joe Starr.
Oh, Joe Starr. I just talked to him today. He's down in Myrtle Beach now, so it's hard for him to get back here. He's working a lot of stuff in South Carolina and Florida and Atlanta and stuff like that. But yeah, he moved away, and Joe's one of my favorite, one of my best friends in the business, Joe Starr.
Very nice. And you mentioned Freddie Rubino. He's been on this show, of course. He's in Florida.
Freddie was with us last week, the Derby week.
Very nice. And he's a Brooklyn boy. So he knows L&B, Spumoni Gardens. He knows a good piece of pizza. He knows some.
Ask him who he likes in the Preakness, because the horse he picked for the Derby got scratched right after he said the name.
That's true.
There's inquiry involved in that one, I think.
Exactly.
So, Chris,
Yes,
when I'm DJing one night and you're there, I'm going to pencil you in for a little Tarantella for the crowd. Is that good?
Well, oh yeah, let me know over the summer, right? Maybe if I'm up here in the summer, I'll come up and hang out with you.
Come up with a little tarantelle, little
whatever. I'll just come up and hang out and smoke my cigar like I do when you're upstairs in the lounge.
Sounds good.
I'll just come hang out.
So tell us, Chris, the question earlier, and I really don't know the answer. How did those horses die at the Derby?
Oh, you mean that week of the Derby?
Yeah.
You know what? I don't know. I didn't really go deep into it. Some were injury that they couldn't, recover from. When a horse gets injured, it's not like any other animal. Like the horse, they live standing up. So if you injure anything that's severe in any part of your leg where you need to lay down to heal it, a horse is not going to lay down for 6 weeks and go, "Oh, put in the cast, I'll lay down." But so a horse is it's not going to heal, and the horse is just going to live in excruciating pain. So the humane thing to do is to euthanize the horse, as sad as that is,
But there were more than one, so could it have been a virus or something, or was it?
I don't know if there was, were they all racing related, or was some not?
Yeah, not much word coming out of there. Maybe under investigation, who knows? But a lot of questions coming out of there.
Yeah, you know what, and it makes, and every year, I live right near Belmont Racetrack, and every year for years I go to the Belmont Stakes, and only on Belmont Stakes Day, because it's the biggest day of the year where there's 100,000 people coming into the track. There's major groups outside the arena, the racetrack, for animal rights activists, and they're out there, stop horse racing, it's inhumane, and blah, 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 all that stuff. And I'm sure it happens at the Derby, and I'm sure it's going to happen this weekend at the Preakness. Only at the big races, but I'm at the track, normally before I was a married man with kids, 3 days a week out of 5 of racing days, I'd be at the track 3 racing days. I didn't see these groups stop horse racing, but they come on the biggest day because they know that's the biggest crowd that's going to gather. So they want to grab the attention of the crowd. But there are, serious animal activists that are against horse racing. So, and in today's world where we live in such a sensitive society, I'm hoping that stuff like this doesn't hurt the sport, because it is, even though it's a sport run by humans with animals, it's a sport that you and I enjoy watching. And I don't, a lot of these horses that make these stakes horses, they live much better lives than a lot of humans. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. Well, even in the Preakness, I believe there's a allowable 14 horses. There are only 8. So Bobby asked a question earlier. Why would that be? Why wouldn't there be some more horses in that race, especially coming out of the Derby?
It's actually a tougher race. Of the 3 races, they always say the Belmont Stakes is a test of champions because it's a mile and a half. This has actually always been the toughest one for the horses, because they're coming off 2 weeks after they prepped in February and March for the Derby. They get into the Derby, and then they run the Derby mile and a quarter the first time in their careers. They run that far, and then 2 weeks later, they got to turn around and go to Pimlico. So I always felt like the Preakness was the toughest race of the 3 in the Triple Crown. But yeah, it's not as enticing to a lot of the trainers. They'd rather run in the Belmont. So when you get to the Belmont, you're going to see same thing. You're allowed to have 15. They'll probably be 12 to 15 horses going to the Belmont. Some of them coming back. A lot of the Derby horses will come back because it's a bigger track. It's a wider track. It's an easier track to navigate. A lot of them feel like Pimlico is tight. It's a weird distance, 1 mile and 3/16, and it's a tight track. And they figure, you know what? Let's give our horses a break, give them the 5 weeks off, and send them to the Belmont. So that's part of it. And if you win any of the 3 races, you're making so much money, and it's like winning an Oscar. Your horse is going to be, forever a hero for winning one of the 3. So if you can win the Belmont, it's the second best, chance if you don't win the Derby to having great breeding. It's all about breeding now. You want your horse to win enough money and show enough class to say, now I'm going to breed the horse, and that's where my money is going to be made in the babies, selling of the babies. $1 million a pop, $2, $3, $4, $5 million a pop for the children of these horses. So that's why a lot of them say, let's skip the Preakness, let's give the horse a break, and we'll go to the Belmont. The Belmont will be stacked. There'll probably be 15,
Very nice.
I call Bill on that because I used to run track in high school. I was a sprinter. I don't look at now, but I used to race 3 times a week.
Again, it is the same thing I can say. Horse racing today is the same thing as any other sport. When you look at baseball, one of the things that bothers me about baseball is we got to go through 6 or 7 pitchers, 4, 5, 6 pitchers every game. When I was a kid, when Doc was a kid, you had your starter and then maybe your closer. Maybe. Your starters mostly, if you were winning and you had a starter that was solid, pitched 9 innings every start. Now,
5 innings.
If you're lucky, you get 5 out of the starter. It's the same thing. Oh, these guys can only pitch 100 pitches. It's bad for their elbows. It's bad for their shoulders. It's the same thing with horse racing. They figured out like these horses, like I talked about 3 weeks ago when we were going into the Derby. Horses going into the Derby. This horse that won the Derby, it was his 4th race, his 4th career race. Secretariat had like 12 races under his belt before he got to the Derby. They were more experienced. Pitches went longer. Now it's the same thing. They want to go less and make as much money as fast as you can make it in a short amount of time and not get hurt.
Yeah, who ever heard of a 5-man rotation? Not back in the day.
Back it was 3 when I was a kid.
3
and 4. That was it. When the Mets were winning the World Series in '86, they had a 4-man rotation, and that was like something new. 4 men.
And I'm pretty sure that Hoyt Wilhelm, the knuckleballer, pitched both games of a doubleheader one time, or started the second game.
I remember the game against Houston in the National League Championship Series in 1986. Doc Gooden, in Game 6, pitched 10 innings before they pulled him out. He pitched the first 10 innings. Like the guys would throw 140 pitches like it was nothing. And that includes all your warm-ups in between innings. So it's like now 100 pitches, got to sit them down, got to rest them, take them out. It's just the way it is. So that's the same thing with horse racing, Bobby. They don't want to exert these horses. And now we have science that says, well, this is too much. That's too much. Same thing with humans and animals. So we live in a world now where everything's going to be safeguarded and sensitive. And, this is the way the world is now. It's just, it's the world we got to live in.
So, Chris, any final word on the New York Knicks?
For me, the season for me was a success. The last game of the season, I was a little. Listen, if they would have won Game 1, it would have been a different series, and they would have moved on, I think. But you can't lose Game 1 like they lost it. There was a couple games where they didn't show up to play, but overall, they exceeded my expectations 100%. Didn't think they were going to be into the second round of the playoffs. Didn't think they would have maybe they would have squeaked in and got knocked out in the first round, but the way that they beat Cleveland and they had a great regular season, I'm really happy with the season going forward. I would like to see them either do one or two things, either get another complimentary player for Brunson. If they could trade Randall, I would not be upset with that. I feel like he slows down the offense. He slows down the whole rotation. I wish Obi Toppin could be a, mature enough starting player that could fill that role, because when he is in there and he is on, that offense is dynamite. But I don't know if he's that player that can be a starter. I think he's going to be a perennial bench guy. But we'll see what happens in the offseason. But it's exciting to be a Knicks fan again, and I'm happy that we had the season we had. I hate to lose to Miami because I hate them, and pretty much anybody in the East now I really can't root for, because I'm not a Celtic guy or Heat guy, so I just can't root for either one of those teams. So I'll watch and see what happens. But overall, decent Knicks year. I was happy with it. It was exciting while it happened. Same thing with the hockey teams. It was exciting. My Islanders squeaked in. Rangers and Devils went, and had a good series. But now it's like I feel disappointed because all I got is the Mets, and they suck. And I can't wait for September. Let's go Jets.
Yeah, let's go Jets.
I think Jets are going to be a big heartbreak for you, but I'm
all
pulling
right.
for
Thanks.
you.
Thanks, Bobby. Thank you. Thank you for being so positive.
I just like Aaron Rodgers. I don't.
All right, let's have this show again. Have me back on again. I'll be wearing my Jets gear in September on Wednesday nights, and I'll be doing the JETS chant while the Jets will be 5-0, and whatever team you root for. Oh, you're a Giant fan, so I'm not a. I root for the Giants.
Steelers first. I'm a Steelers fan.
Who? Oh, Steelers.
Steelers. Yeah.
All right, good. I'll laugh when they suck.
You
What about my Braves fan up there? Who you root for? Who's your football team?
I'm a Falcons fan, and we do play.
All right, so you're all Atlanta. At least you're consistent.
Yeah.
Falcons. I got nothing against the Falcons. I hope you guys have a good season.
Thank you.
Who's your college team, Chris?
There is no college team in New York.
Who do you root for?
I root for Syracuse. That sucks. In basketball, I'm a St. John's fan. In football, college football, all we really have is Syracuse. I get to watch Rutgers games. They're New Jersey, but there's really no solid college New York team. And like I said, Syracuse I'll root for, but they're still 4 hours away from where I live. But that's pretty much it. When I was a kid, I was a bandwagon, Notre Dame fan. So
that's who we are. All of us are.
All of us are, because that's all we had around here. And I used to kind of root for. I dated a girl for 6 years. We lived together, and her parents both went to Purdue, so I kind of watched Purdue for a while when I was with her, and I became, and they were a terrible football squad. They have a decent basketball program, but there's really, other than Syracuse is the team I'll get behind if they're good. But that's really it. I'm not as big into college as I used to be. I used to be more when I was younger, in my 20s and 30s, but I don't really watch college as much as I used to, unless one of the local teams gets good. Then I get interested.
What about Stony Brook?
I mean, they're a Long Island team. Are they? Unless they do something. My sister went to Hofstra. But they're they're not competing in the big, in the big games that you're gonna watch on TV. Every week. So, Syracuse, you can see on a national scale in certain weeks and see them play decent, programs. But, I don't know, man. I kind of like, I watch so much sports that I can't squeeze college football in because my wife hates it as it is. That, I watch the Mets. I watched every Islander game. I watch every Knick game. I watch every Met game, and then I watch every Jet game. So if I start watching, like now, I'm definitely going to start watching St. John's again, because now that we have Patino, they're going to be relevant again. So my wife's going to be like, now you're watching college basketball? Like, when does it end? Like my poor wife, she just wants to hang out with me after a long day's work and not watch sports. But, I'm into every sport,
But can that make for a better routine, Chris? Can that brighten up your routine?
Anything the wife bitches at me about makes for good comedy.
Yeah.
So, Chris, now you have to go home and with nice WNBA gear and say, "Look, I have a new team now, honey. Look,
go Liberty, baby.
Go Liberty, yeah." Well, it looks like Boston's going to lose the first game at home
to Miami.
Yep.
I'll tell you, Miami's going to the finals, man. They're like no quit.
Yeah, they just wanted to like the old Yankees in the 90s. They just wanted to make it. Remember, the Yankees had that one season where they were like horrible. And then they went all the way to they won the championship. They were like 80 wins or something, or 85 and something, and just rounded it out. They got to the playoffs and made the run. That's just what Miami's doing right now.
They're very well coached. They have a very good coach, Miami. So that's that's another thing that it's questionable with the Knicks is the coach. I can't say fire Tibbs because of the last 2 years of going to the playoffs, but he definitely got out-coached by the Miami coach.
Like I was saying before, Chris, it's like all these coaches are getting fired now, good coaches, and you're going to miss the boat on somebody because you're going to hold on to Tibbs one more year, And then,
I mean, I think he's earned the right to get one more year because of the last 2 years that he's had. So they play for him. He just doesn't draw up the great plays in crunch time.
That's what John said. John's a big Knicks fan.
Yeah. Huge
Oh,
Knicks.
so you're a Knicks fan?
I'm a Knicks fan.
You don't root for Atlanta?
No. I
And Chris, what we learned today, real quick, John. What we learned today is that up by John is the Sioux City, what team?
The Sioux Falls Skyforce.
Sioux Falls.
So where you
Skyforce.
live, John?
Rapid City, South Dakota.
You're in South Dakota, and you root for Atlanta Braves, the Falcons, and the New York Knicks.
New York Knicks, Notre Dame Fighting Irish, college football, and Arkansas.
Now, what are you native to South Dakota?
No, I joined the United States Air Force.
Thank you for your service, my friend.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, John.
I was active duty and I got stationed in Italy. I was in Aviano Air Base in Italy for 2 years. And then my orders said Ellsworth SD. So I'm looking at him. I'm like, where the hell is this place? And my flight chief was like, I'm not going to tell you. You're going to have to research it on your own so we don't break your heart. So I look it up and I'm like, South Dakota, what in the hell? I've never been there before.
I think there's like 80 residents in the whole state.
Yeah.
And 79 of them are Native Americans.
Yeah, so I get here and I met my wife here, and that's how we ended up moving back here, and we reside here.
Now, where were you originally from?
So I was born in West Point, New York. Then we moved to Italy with my dad. Doc Holliday was in the United States Air Force as well. So we moved to Italy. Then we got stationed in California. And then my dad moved back to New York once he was done with his time in the military. And then I moved to Florida with my mom. So I think about 12 years old. So I claim Panama City, Florida is where I'm from. I did middle school all the way through high school until I joined the service. So,
okay. So how did you get involved with rooting for the Falcons and the Braves?
Okay, so this how when I started watching sports, my dad said you don't have to follow who I like, but when you pick a team, you have to stay with that team for the rest of your life. So at the time, Deion Sanders played for the Falcons and the Braves, and we lived in California. And back then, the Braves were in the NL West, and the Falcons were in the NFC West. There was no South. So they played all those West teams a lot, and I just followed them. And then with the NBA, everybody was a Lakers fan or a Bulls fan, and I didn't want to be like everybody else. So I chose the Knicks. I wanted to be the rival to Michael Jordan. So that's how
So you're old enough to remember the 90s?
Yes.
All right. So that's when those days were with the Knicks and the Bulls. So
yes.
All right, that's good. It's good to get the history on. I just wanted to, because I meet these guys that are like, it seems like that you're not bandwagon, but you might be able to say that with the Braves if I didn't know how old you were. But I know a guy that's a Yankees fan, a Dallas Cowboys fan, a Montreal Canadiens fan. Yeah. I said, so you root for all the franchises that mostly win all the jumps on the bandwagon.
You're a front runner.
Front runner, right? Well, he's not a front runner because he's had some awful years with the Falcons, and the way they lost that Super Bowl. Oh,
I still have PTSD from that Super Bowl.
Yeah. Let me tell you something, man. I
put it every day.
So do I, and I'm a Jets fan, so I hate Tom Brady more than anybody.
That was the worst.
And Bill Belichick.
They often said to John, "Oh, you're jumping on the bandwagon." Are you kidding me? When the Braves had David Justice and Chris Chambliss, and they weren't too good way back.
Yeah, when I started liking them, they were last place, and then they went from last to first, and we couldn't get over the hump till '95. We beat the Cleveland Indians finally in the World Series.
All I remember is you guys won the division for like 20 years in a row, and it just made me want to puke.
Yeah,
and the Braves have owned the Mets for my whole lifetime.
Bobby Cox, baby.
Ugh.
So I recently deployed to Jordan, and when the Braves went on their run in 2021, I was staying up all through the night to watch these World Series games, and everybody's like, "You're freaking nuts." I'm like, they haven't won a championship since I was 13 years old. I'm 39 years old. You know, so when they ended up winning, it was freaking amazing.
Well, the Mets haven't won a World Series since I was 14. So I got it on you. And the Jets had never won in my lifetime.
And that's the tough part about the New York Knicks is they won before I was even alive, and I've never seen them. I'm 40 years old.
I was one when they won their last one, and I was not born yet when the Jets won in '69. So the only accolades I have is watching the Mets in '86, and I was 8 years old, 7 years old through like 12 years old to watch the New York Islanders hockey team win 4 Stanley Cups in a row and play in 5 in a row. They lost that 5th one, but I have that. But it's terrible when you have this drought.
Right.
Yeah, the Mets will be back, Chris. Your Mets will be back.
I hate to say this, and I never thought I would say this, the Jets may win a Super Bowl before the Mets win a World Series. We might. We're loaded, Doc. We're loaded.
I'd like to see it, Chris. I'd like to see the New York Jets get another one.
We got to do it. Aaron, baby.
Yeah.
So real quick, get back to what I was saying. Yeah. So John is no, it's fine. The Sioux City,
Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Name of the team though.
Sioux Falls.
So by him is the Sioux Falls Skyforce and the G League. You'll never guess in a million years who their affiliate team is.
I have no idea.
Miami.
Yeah.
Really?
Miami Heat.
Yeah, Westchester Knicks, right up the White Plains. You got the Long Island Nets right down 495 there to the expressway. But yeah, Miami's team is way over there.
In South Dakota.
Dakota. Makes no sense.
But it's good travel.
Florida makes no sense.
Kind of like the Italian national baseball team's roster. Makes no sense.
It's all good. It is what it is. Wherever you can get a team cheap.
And Matt Harvey retired, the former Met, the Italian baseball team star, Matt Harvey.
Matt Harvey got good riddance.
He look Italian though. He had an Italian look to him. His mom's side, right?
Yeah, his name is Harvi. It ends in a vowel, not a Y.
RV. All right, guys. I think we had a pretty good show today.
Thanks for letting me come in late, fellas. I appreciate you waiting up for me.
I appreciate you coming on, Chris.
Thank you.
Like I said, I can tell right away you're not in the lodge, but that chair.
I know. I'm not in the lodge. If I was in the lodge, I'd be. I actually normally this time of year, at the end of May, middle of May, when I come up here, I look forward to after my show, call the wife, say goodnight, then go outside, pour a drink in my cup, and light a cigar. But tonight in Callicoon, New York, in May, it's going to be 26 degrees because this is Callicoon.
No, it's because the Mets won tonight, and
hell's freezing over.
So, Doc, should I wear pants this weekend or shorts? I mean, what do I pack for tomorrow?
I think the weekend's going to be in the 70s. Well, where I live, it's going to be in the 70s. So
yeah, tomorrow I think a high of 63,
Oof.
And on Friday I think maybe it hits 70 in Tampa, but up here maybe 60. No, 70 on Friday.
So right
70's not bad.
So right now it's 26. It's 26 degrees in Callicoon, and our buddy Mike's wearing shorts, guaranteed.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Mike, he wore shorts. Yeah.
That's all he wears.
Mike Shapiro wears shorts all the time.
He wears shorts in January.
Yes.
All right, Doc, take us out.
All right. This All Point Sports Show brought to you by Edge Remodeling. Edge Remodeling, Franklin Square, New York. Eddie Edge, our sponsor. We're so glad to have Edge Remodeling for all your home repairs, fully licensed. Eddie Edge, Edge Remodeling. Special thanks to Bobby Blackjack, JG the Kid there in Rapid City, South Dakota, and from Villa Roma Resort, headline comedian Chris Monty. Look for him in a theater near you. This is Doc Holliday for All Point Sports saying, have a great night. Say good night, everyone.
Good night, guys.
Good night, everyone.
Yeah, buonanotte.